Thanks for staying with us here on Sports Live. We're going to talk continental football now because Mamelodi Sundowns ladies as well as UWC are representing South Africa at this year's CAF Women's Champions League in Morocco. And South Africa is the only country with two teams. And earlier today, UWC played their first match, went down by 2-0 to TP Mazembe, while Sundowns will kick off their campaign against Masar tomorrow. And to tell us more about what's happening in the Champions League and the rise of women's football here in the country is SABC sport reporter Mathlomola Morake. Good evening, great to have you back here. How does it feel to be back here, Mathlomola Morake?
It always feels good, and good evening to you too, Tabiso. It feels good to be back here, and I'm loving every minute of it.
But why are you not in Morocco covering the Champions League?
Good question, eh? In fact, if I had my way, I'd be in Morocco, but things have happened, but unfortunately I couldn't be there. But who knows, maybe in the later stages, the semis or the finals, one could be there, especially if the two South African teams make it.
And I ask that because you're one of the few journalists that's dedicated to covering women's football through Centre Circle. What led to that? Why did you think that you maybe take a different route? I know you're not lost, obviously, to the game, but you have a specific focus on women's football, which has been impressive.
You know, it started back in 2019 when I went with Banyana when I was their media officer, and I went to France for the World Cup. Banyana's first World Cup, and when I got there I realized that actually women's football is bigger than we think on the continent. When you got there, stadiums were full every game. It didn't matter who was playing. Well, it's the World Cup, but be that as it may, it's women's football, and everyone was there. And I thought, I think we should do something back home in South Africa, and that's why I said, you know what, after this, whatever happens, I'm leaning solely and completely on women's football. And the last 3-4 years I've been doing that, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I don't think I'll go back the other side. Look, as you say, I'm not lost to the men's game, but my sole focus is on women's football.
And where is women's football at the moment? We saw Banyana holding their own against England, the champions of Europe. Where would you say we are?
Look, we're not where we're supposed to be. We still a few steps, probably bigger steps than we think, far behind. Because if you look at the likes of England, the USA, and other countries abroad, they've been in this game for quite a long time. Whereas when you look at the likes of South Africa, the continent in general, we only now starting to actually get into the game, because if you think of the likes of Nigeria, they've been appearing in international competitions, but they've been the only ones. Now you've got South Africa, you've got Zambia, you've got Ghana. They're all coming in. Morocco as well. They're also making strides. So I think we still need. There's still a lot to be done, and as you can see, especially here in South Africa, we've got the Hollywood Bets. They are the only sponsor. When you go outside, when you go abroad, you realize that almost every sponsor wants to be part of women's football. And just recently, we saw the BBC and Sky Sports, if I'm not mistaken, they pumped billions of money into television rights for women's football. And that's where we want to be. And maybe in the next 5-10 years, we will be there as well.
But there's progress being made by the likes of UWC. They join Sundowns now in the Champions League. We have two teams there. That's a big statement also. Absolutely.
I mean, first of all, if you look at UWC, for them to be there, it's not an overnight thing. They've been working on this for the last 3-4 years. When you speak to Coach Tina Sonkembuli of UWC, she'll tell you that this was a process. They had to trust the process. When they started, they really didn't have an idea of that they'll be here at this stage. But having two teams on the continent, Mamelodi Sundowns has been there. This is the 4th edition, and this is their 4th appearance, which shows that they've been very consistent. I mean, we saw earlier this year they went to the US. They were picked by the organizers of the Women's Cup to come and play in that tournament. It shows that there is something that we're doing in the country, but we're not doing it as much as we should be. But it's good to have two teams in the continent. Does it mean success? I don't think so. We still have to work hard to ensure that we get to the semis and the final.
What was your take on UWC's performance against TP Mazembe today?
I was always worried before the start of the tournament that UWC may struggle because I saw them at the COSAFA qualifiers. They struggled a bit, but they managed to hold their own. But now when you get to Champions League, it's a completely different level. And more so, they've lost two key players, Bongeka Gamete, who's in Denmark as we speak, as well as Nokolo Tsasane, who's now playing her football in Saudi Arabia. And they've also lost one of their top goal poachers, Pilisam Jamban, who's been scoring goals for them in the Hollywood Bet Super League. So that was always going to be a challenge. Now you need some players from UWC to actually step up to get into that business that the other three were doing. And it's not going to be easy. It's only been, 4-5 weeks that the other three haven't been around. So it was always going to be a challenge. And I saw the first half, they managed to hold their own. I had a little bit of hope, but I realized that the TP Mazembe team, it's not their first time. They've been there before. They couldn't get out of the group the last time out. So now they know what it takes to get to the top. So that's why they were actually bullying the UWC players. We've got the young petite players. It's a South African thing. It's not just UWC. So yeah, I always had my doubts that they'll do it. So now the big test will be on Tuesday when they play against the team from Senegal, De La Medina, to see how they fare, because that's a do or die. If they don't get anything out of that match, it's curtains for them.
What about Sundowns, though, with all their experience, having won the competition also? They kick off their campaign tomorrow. How do you rate their chances?
Look, very good chance. I spoke to Coach Jerry Chabalala before they left, and he said, look, that we've been there before, that we've won it twice, doesn't really give us leeway to say we're going to win it. The advantage with Sundowns is that they've got a very good squad. They perhaps the most professional, if one can use that word, most professional team in the Hollywood Bet Super League. And also the teams that they are playing against, they are all new. Sundowns hasn't played them. So Sundowns is the more experienced in Group B. And if they do well against the FC Masar tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, I think Sundowns can go all the way.
And where will the threat come from throughout the tournament, maybe for Sundowns?
There's always one threat in this competition, AS FAR. AS FAR of Morocco, they're the hosts. They won it in 2022. Actually, when they won it in 2022, they beat Sundowns 4-0. So I'm almost certain that Sundowns hasn't forgotten that. So they may meet somewhere, could be in the semi-finals like last year when Sundowns won that, or it could be in the final.
There's been talk that they might increase the number of teams. Is there a reason for that? Would you welcome something like that?
Absolutely. I mean, you always want to see more participation because you want the game to grow, where women's football to grow. But, you know, I was on a virtual call, Zoom call with the head of women's football at CAF, Meskerin Goshime. And she said, you know, the plans are afoot to actually increase the numbers to either 12 or 16. But there's still a lot of work to be done because they want more teams to participate. Because if you have 8, you've got the strongest and best teams, obviously, on the continent. So if you increase it to 12, you also don't want the other 2 or 3 to be weak. Because remember, there's the FIFA Club World Cup that's coming up for women, and you want your best team to stay there. Because when you get there, you've got your Barcelonas, you've got your Lyons, you've got your PSG, you've got your Arsenals that will be there. So you need to ensure that the team that you send there as an African representative is strong right from the continent, not to go there and learn.
Okay, great to have you as always, Mathlomola Morake of Centre Circle, also back with us here at the SABC. Looking forward to the rest of the Champions League campaign. Then good luck to Sundowns ladies as well as UWC. We have much more coming up here on Sports Live.